My name is Horatiu Cocheci. I lead the HR consulting team of EY Romania. Together with me are three very esteemed guests that I'm very honored to have here today with me. First, I would like to introduce Simona. Simona is a very well-known, one of the most well-known HR directors on the Romanian market. Now she's leading the biggest company in the biggest group actually in Romania, which is Renault Dacia Group. Having quite a large perimeter, Simona, isn't it? Irrespective of the Dacia manufacturer, we are also having Renault Technologie Romania, which is a center of excellence, the second largest of Renault globally. Is just there that you are having 2,000 employees, IT engineers working for you. Quite a large task that you have at hand, because you have just joined the Renault Group as an executive member in order to help them towards the industrial, to help them towards the fourth industrial process.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Yes, this is true. And just for the sake of clarifying, I am only leading the HR. I didn't conquer the entire group yet, but it's never too late. Yes, I took the challenge in the pandemic. If you ever do a conference on how to change jobs in pandemic, I'm your girl. Please invite me back. So yes,
we are looking forward to hear everything from your side.
Funny stories, yes. A lot of them. So,
thank you, Simona, for being here. Just give me a second to introduce Gabi and Andrei, and after that, I'm sure we'll start sharing with our guests today all the relevant insights that we can give them. Gabi is the head of technology and innovation within Banca Transilvania group, which all the Romanian audience know is the largest financial group here in Romania. Not only the largest financial group here in Romania, and Gabi not only in charge with technology and innovation, but I think, and there is a promise for our audience today, I think there is a second element there. Banca Transilvania proud itself with being the bank of entrepreneurs, with the bank of freelancer, and I'm quite interested to hear from Gabi what can we hear in terms of the role that technology plays towards upscaling and going forward with technology for the new businesses as a banker sees. Thank you, Gabi, for being here today with us. And Andrei is a well-known entrepreneur because we thought that HR is one thing, IT is one thing, but who else can be better at uniting the perspectives? And this is why we decided for having today in the panel Andrei. Once again, a very well-known entrepreneur. Andrei, you started with 7 Card, a very well-known sports benefit provider. After that, you moved into venture capital. How many living organizations do you have at the moment? Is it 3? Is it 4?
Well, we did get involved in a number of teams and startups through our venture capital business. But lately, personally, I'm acting still as a CEO of 7 Card, but kicked off a very fresh project that relates to future of work. So indeed, I'm leveraging now technology to allow employees of companies to access a distributed network of alternative workspaces. This is what Pluria does. Pluria is the name of this very recent startup. So wow, yeah, keeping busy with a number of initiatives.
Interesting. That sounds heavily interesting, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to hear also on how you approach that business. Once again, from a technological perspective, it will be of definite value added for our audience. Having said that, and thanking you once again to all of you for being part of this panel today, let's remind our esteemed audience what's the business case for all of us staying together. We all know that having a good technology at hand it's extremely important. This is of capital importance, but having it work and being adopted for real by the employees of an organization, unfortunately, it's a little bit something else. There are certain elements that have to be linked in before having the technology and making it work. So once again, the business case for our panel today is to start understanding, and why not end by really understanding what are the elements that can do that can support automation from a change management perspective. For that, I suggest we start with a very plain definition and make sure that we are aligned in terms of what we are talking about. In that sense, Gabi, you are the IT expert in our panel today. How do you define success from a perspective of a new technological implementation? How you define a technology that works?
Hi, and I'm glad to be here, sharing ideas with us and learning from the other participants. Yeah, I'm a technical guy. My background is technical, but everybody works in a business, right? So first thing, if you want to have an implementation that is a successful implementation, I think you should start by not thinking of it only in terms of technical implementation. Basically, whatever the need is, whatever you are implementing and solving with the technical stack, it's a need, someone's need, some business or some individual's need. So first of all, you should start thinking like that. It's not just a technical implementation, it's a need that needs to be solved. So probably the first question you should ask yourself when you're delivering what you're implementing is, does my implementation actually solve the customer's needs? And if it does it solve it in the best way you could imagine? Is it actually what the customer hoped for, or maybe even exceeding the expectations? So it's not just a technical fact, it's about solving the problems. Technology is not here just so we can have implementation, it's here to solve problems. So a successful implementation, it's an implementation that solves a problem for somebody.
I really love the definition. Actually, what I hear from your side is that we should move away from the idea that if there is a technology out there, we should definitely implement it, just technology for the sake of technology. We should go a little bit root cause and try to understand what's the exact problem. Okay, thank you for that. I think it's a very good start. Simona, let me twist a little bit from, I would call it HR perspective, but I would call it people perspective. People have to adopt technologies. What's your take on that? How do you define adoption, and how do you define a technology that has been well implemented within an organization?
Well, I have to say that what Gabi said, it's 100% my view, and I will twist it on adoption. So if we really can find the balance and the win-win between the organizational need and the individual need to solve the problem, but also create the right experience for the employee and the satisfaction that the life at work has been improved, then the chances of adoptions are very high. I sneaked a little bit earlier today into the presentation, and I caught a quote, like a match in heaven, a quote from Donaldson, from Paul, and he said 80% of the technologies in adoption, they don't reach potential. And I have to say that many times I found myself in that situation. To give you an example, in our, we have a lot of jobs in Renault. Okay, one of the biggest jobs is to manufacture cars, among other things. Okay, and in car manufacturing, you have a lot of quality, a lot of people interacting to produce the car. You can imagine, where it starts and where it goes. So we introduced a year back, we introduced a project that will put the real-time information flow for the manufacturing, so people don't leave the car in various stages of the making, so they can see everything that's going on, what's coming next, where it goes, and all this, with iPads, and how to say, beautiful. I wish I was there at that time. but I wasn't. And it took half a year more in adoption because we underestimated the time people need to get used with the new iPads, with reading all the combined data and all that. So sometimes on top of making the match between the need and the company and the people and the experience, you just need to admit that people are people and they need time. And we never admit it in business cases. And therefore, it's like inventing the wheel with every project. Oops, there is no adoption. Oh, we need to make another plan for adoption and another plan and another plan. Okay,
I wouldn't spoil the next part of the discussion by asking you exactly right now, how do you actually do that? I will pass it a little bit to Andrei and try to link the perspectives. Andrei, what we've heard from Gabi is not technology for the sake of technology, and what we've heard from Simona is that adoption is crucial, and the key question obviously is how do you actually ensure that? And I'm twisting this towards you because technology has been the baseline for everything that you have done. How have you made your people and your clients buy everything that you put in at hand? Your current Pluria development is based on adoption. Your previous 7 card has been based on adoption. How have you done that?
I will link it obviously to what Gabi and Simona and then you were mentioning, that you cannot have technology for technology's sake. You can have that in art, right? There is art for art's sake, but it's not the case for technology. So it needs to be linked to a clear business goal. Now I have to say, I also have a background in consulting, and in the days I used to study a lot of business frameworks, and the most famous one is the value chain developed by Porter. And the more time passes, the more I tend to disagree with Mr. Porter, because he envisioned both HR and technology as support activities in a company. And what we start to see more and more, that they are so much part of the core of the organization, and they are so critical to an organization's success, and they need to be leveraged so much and have deep focus on them. They're absolutely crucial. So I see them more and more migrating from their role as a support function to core business function, and that's exactly what I did in the past years. I've taken those principles, and technology was definitely a foundation to everything that we've done. Although at the beginning, in 2011, when we started 7 Card, it was very traditional. It was a company run on Excels, right? So Microsoft Excel was our only technology enabler.
But it was technology. It was not pen and paper.
It was exactly. So more and more we became enabled by technology, and we put layer over top of another layer of technology foundation.
So may I stop you for just a second and make sure that having all these definitions aligned among ourselves, we start unfolding the story by discovering not the positive elements, not the positive things that may be aligned with your perspective and vision, but let's start by discussing the failures, meaning the elements that went wrong during any kind of implementations / adoptions during some crucial projects that you are involved in. Theoretically, Gabi, at least, which are the main reasons for failure when you are dealing with large projects, from your experience, obviously?
Yes, so I really think that planning and organizing and making everything clear, it's crucial for a project to get to the stage where you can declare it a success. Most of the times when we had delays or let's say failures, it wasn't because we had lack of skills, because we're trying to get teams with very good, very experienced people. Most of the times we had these kind of situations, it was probably, I would say, lack of clarity, because there was a difference between what the technical team or the implementation team would expect that they have to deliver and the point of view of the business owner from the customer's view, because that's one of the most important things. Make sure when you start and all the time when the project is ongoing, make sure that the customer, internal, external, whoever the customer is, make sure that what he expects, it's the same thing with what you are trying to get to with your scope. Because again, I don't think we have, and again, in Romania, we have very good technical people. I really don't think that the problem is with the lack of skills. We don't have many problems there. Yeah, it's difficult to recruit them maybe, and Simona knows better, but when you get them, you can do the job really, really good. And the failures or the delays mostly come from this aspect, that somehow you don't make very clear what the outcome is expected to be and what you're building to. And that's mainly because of poor documentation or poor communication or bad planning. So make sure that you can check this really, really good, and probably you'll have a successful project.
So that quote that Simona was referring to, that some 80% of implementations do not reach their potential. Let's call it like this. Let's not say that they are failures or have big interruptions. They do not reach their potential. It's just because there is a gap of expectations in between what the initial what the customer said initially and what the team has documented and presented during the process. Can we translate it this as such?
From my experience and the projects I've been through, most of the cases, yes.
Okay, it's heavily interesting, Gabi, and thank you for that. Simona?
That was a true IT perspective from Gabi. I will add to it actually. I would like to add to it because I had my fair share of failure from which I learned some lessons. And one of the biggest one, unfortunately, is that sometimes as Gabi's clients, we fail to let go of things. And we want everything to be the same, but in technology, which is more fancier. But this only leads to accelerating a problem or a bureaucracy you have, and makes it more visible and wrong. I even had to stop some IT investments at certain point in time because the user experience was so bad now with all the bureaucracy lifted up and transparent and with no biases that it would have been a disaster. So my biggest learning is that first you clean up house, and when I say house, I mean processes, not people. First you clean up the processes, and you really take the opportunity of putting something nice and crisp into the technology. And the second biggest learning is that do not underestimate the change on top of a change on top of a change that is coming for the managers. And going back to our initial discussion is we want to create an experience for them, not only give them more to approve, more to work, more to click, more to do a lot of things.
Let me take it from here and let me dig on the first element that you mentioned, because I feel there is quite a juicy story behind, meaning when you are referring to the fact that you stopped or cleared various processes because irrespective of how technological wise they were not serving the purpose. Can you share us the specific example that you had in mind?
Well, I have unfortunately many examples, but just to take a very simple one, okay? So let's imagine you have a certain process in performance management that has reviews, and you put objectives, and you put KPIs, and you have nice forms and all this. If you take these forms and put them in technology, they will only multiply the number of clicks that you do. So instead of putting the form, you need to reinvent your process so that it makes one click with the same impact of what you want to achieve. But we never take the time to do that because we say hooray for the technology to being approved, and finally we have to rush because the CapEx cycle is changing, and there is no time to do the cleanup and to see if you can go towards some standardization and things like that. Very rarely we have the opportunity to have a pre-project where you truly prepare for a potential technology on top of a process that you have. So
if I read you well, and I think I read you well, that's heavily deep. Meaning, what I'm hearing is that a blend in between the new technology to be adopted and the old process should exist. We should not just take the old process and use the new technology to rerun it, but we should just create a new blend. The old process should not be similar to the new one.
Horatiu, trust me, if you have a problem in your process that even you don't know, and we have plenty in HR, this will become visible to the world.
So technology will be there to unfold the problem, not to
technology will make democracy out of everything and will bring no bias towards things.
I think that's once again, that's a very hands-on and clear lesson for all of us that has to arrive from here. It's not just implementing a new technology, but twisting everything in order to make it work. And why not rewriting policies, procedures, and even structures just in order to have a blend in between.
Let go. It's like moving the closet. Let go of the clothes you never wear. Let them go.
And not take the clothes that are look nice on in the shops, but the ones that suits you.
And remember the managers, they need an experience, not only work.
Good, Simona. Thank you so much for this. Andrei, we started by discussing the failures, the elements of that do not go well prior to moving to the other parts. Can you share us experience, hands-on elements that should be better tackled in order to move away these side elements?
Definitely. Had a part of my share of failures in the past. I can think of three big ones. One would be spec bump, just wanting things. So opening is like a Pandora's box of technology, right? So if we decided to migrate to a new solution or to, I don't know, simply adopt a technology, we seem to want a lot and very, very soon. So prioritization of the product roadmap is really important, is really key. You should know which elements are critical and start small and have a solid process for prioritizing and moving along the roadmap. Next would be, and Gabi mentioned documentation. I think here what we need is really to find that sweet spot, because I've seen two perspectives. One would be the startup way, where you just rush into things, insufficient documentation, and you suddenly uncover, oh, that cannot be done, that takes too much, that is too complex, or I did not see this dependency, and so on. So it really helps to structure the business requirements and do a little bit of optimization if you're still there, like Simona was saying. On the other side, it's the very heavy corporate way of documenting. So I've also seen this. It's just it simply takes too much and consumes too much of our organization resources without actually starting anything and doing concrete some real implementation.
Choose your battles, you say. Yes, choose your battles.
Yeah. So somewhere in between these extremes is definitely the sweet spot of having a project management infrastructure with documentation and following things through. And the third thing that I would mention, it actually relates to our first topic of discussion, is having IT, you know, as a central business partner. It's not a support function. It's not a department that just delivers. You know, here's I email you my Christmas wish list, and I'm waiting for the solution to magically appear. It needs to work hand in hand. So IT needs to be involved, even, you know, in have the marketing and overview, and be involved in user testing, and so it needs to be a central part of the overall, you know, architecture. Those are the three main hurdles that I've experienced, and that, if you look at it from the other perspective, can be the three biggest opportunities of a successful implementation. Yeah.
The last one that you've shared for sure is music to all ears of the IT and technology experts within our conference today. But yes, it becomes obviously true if we are saying that the blend should appear in between the business process and the new technology to adopt it. It becomes quite clear that yes, we have to ask for real and genuine opinions on what is doable and what not from a technological perspective. Okay, thank you, Andrei, for that. Let's move forward. We started by aligning ourselves on what is technology, what is a technology that works. We are trying to investigate now the elements that make it break. If we are looking on the positive side, the elements that should make the technology work, definitely one of them is the engagement of all the relevant stakeholders. Let's start this dimension by understanding which is the golden rule of engagement. Let me call it like this. What are the elements that you think of when you have this KPI in mind? I have to engage all my stakeholders in order for them to provide input, to be aligned, to work for the new implementation. Gabi, can you start, please?
Sure. So probably the most important thing, as in any major or not so major change, is to make sure that first of all, the stakeholders and also the people that will be impacted by the change, they actually understand let's say what's in it for me. So sometimes it's really easy, and it's kind of a trap to come up with an idea and be really enthusiastic about it and see all the advantages and all the benefits it gets. And probably Andrei knows better than me this, and be really, really sure that your idea is amazing. But if you don't actually manage to present it to the stakeholders and to the end users, and make sure that they also can feel the changes and the benefits you can see in that idea, it's not going to happen. I mean, as Simona said, a change, in order to be successful, it has to be adopted. Otherwise, it's just an idea that it's lost. And if people don't see the value, and when I say people, it's both the stakeholders and the end users, if they don't see the value, they won't adopt the change. So pretty much one of the basic things is to make sure that whatever your idea is, whatever the change you're trying to make in your company or whatever, make sure that people understand. It's not enough for you to be enthusiastic about it. Make sure that you can explain and you can define whatever the benefits that new idea or that change brings for the company, for the individuals, for everybody.
And let's be very clear on this. Actually, these benefits should not be invented, made out of nowhere. They should be quite real and genuine, and everyone that is dragged into the process should really perceive a real and genuine benefit.
They could be invented, but as fast as the idea would be adopted, at least with the same speed, it will die, and nobody will want to hear for it. So yes, if you want to get adoption, you have to be fair. Also about the benefits, but also about, let's say, about the risks or whatever the things could be harder in the beginning, because every change, it's a dramatical change and change of perspective from users. So you should be honest about the benefits, but also the parts that could be harder in the beginning. And I really think that
I buy it. I feel the same.
Honesty, it's a really important thing here, because if you're trying to sell an idea with, let's say, unfair benefits, or trying to avoid saying everything about it, yeah, you might get adoption, but really for a short term.
Thank you, Gabi. Simona, you have been leading the largest organizations in Romania as an HR head. You've been with Coca-Cola, you've been with Vodafone, you've been with Kazmunaygaz, you've been with Dacia. I don't know if there is any organization left on the list with both local and regional roles. Whenever Gabi's peers, the IT guys come to you and the business guys come to you and tell you that they have a new ... implementation. How do you try to support them? What are the elements that you put on the table in order to ensure a good adoption of the new technology? The engagement, your golden rule of engagement.
I have several golden rules of engagement that are not necessarily out of books, but more out of practice and hitting the head with the wall. Sometimes one of them being make sure that it's not only fair and transparent, what Gabi said in terms of expectation, but also properly calibrated. And when I say calibrated, I mean, you tell me that you will recruit somebody for me maybe in 20 seconds rather than a half an hour interview. Yay. But then I start imagining things, and the picture of success becomes very pink sometimes and bright in my mind. And this is not good either, because it's creating false expectation. So I like to either suggest to my colleagues or do it myself when I have the opportunity, what I call a walkthrough. And so I like to take the process from end to end, whatever we want to put in technology, and go and see where are the main touch points, what's happening, where people struggle, if something really needs to take in account. Sometimes maybe we do not need to customize. Sometimes there is such a hot topic in terms of the user that we need to customize. The worst case out of this maybe 1 or 2 hours is that people leave from this walkthrough with the same impression of what is a problem and how a potential solution would look like, which is impacting positively their effort through the project, but also the adoption to start. Of course, it's the classical engagement of the stakeholder, but beyond that, it's truly you discover things. I mean, really, you discover things doing that. This is one. And the second one is many times throughout my career, we have underestimated the resources you need to put and the time that these resources are having to invest in implementing a new technology, regardless of the technology. Sometimes we put on top of busy people a more busy project and another project, and instead of making it, acknowledging that it is a special time to implement something new, we just put it in the drawer and it's another hurdle. This destroys adoption and destroys excitement and a lot. I mean, you find burnout sometimes after implementing such projects. So I strongly recommend that part of the engagement is the proper resourcing of a project with the right roles and right caliber of people. And that's my 2 big takeaways, if I am to...
And if you are to think at the skills of the HR professionals that you know across the country and across the region, if I may add, what are the genuine elements that can be provided by these HR professionals towards the help of a successful implementation? What's fair from an HR perspective to say that we are going to help you with that and that? What can we do as a profession?
Okay, let me start with the provocative joke, if you may. So it's clear that disruptive technology is here to stay. I mean, it's clear, okay, and it's clear that. And thank you to Andrei, that there are high expectations on HR, and that the HR is one of the functions, together with IT and maybe other functions, to help people go towards that. But then my question is, who prepares HR? Who prepares HR? And I am reflecting for a while to this question now, and I reached the conclusion that HR has to prepare HR. And then I will answer to your question by saying that, okay, how can you prepare yourself to do something that you've never done, which is new for you and sometimes new for everybody around you? And I will say, number one is changing your mindset and entering into the journey with a bit of fun and confidence. Kill the fears, if there are any, that, and force yourself to look differently to things in order to become open to learn. But nevertheless, bring in HR people that are with a variety of skills, and they can build complex skills on the go. Because if we cannot build complex skills on the go, then there is so far you can go. Digital is one of these complex skills. I mean, we do not have to become IT, and Gabi is safe from HR from this perspective, but we definitely need to understand the conversation. And this goes back to the collaboration that you need to have with the people around you, to be part of the networks, to read, to learn, to go and see what it is new, to say, hi, I don't know this, please explain what is doing. You don't have to become an expert. You just need to understand the conversation. So you need to understand where you can help people and bring it back in your territory, which you know what people need, you know where they struggle, you know how to do change management. We've done it for years. Most of the HR departments in this country now are evolved enough to know. And if they are not, they are part of networks that know. But then it's this little thing that is new, which is how can you tap into other people and learn from their mistakes, not yours.
So HR should be there. HR should, on one hand, be credible and trustworthy enough in order to enter the process, but after that should challenge themselves continuously.
Yes, and find new ways of collaboration, because through collaboration you learn.
Okay, thank you, Simona. Andrei, you are the one left to answer this question, and honestly, I think the most difficult answer should inevitably come from your side. You don't have the resources of the corporations more than this. You cannot divide yourself into being now HR, now IT, and so on. Can you take us through a journey of discovery, if you want, from the idea that comes into your mind towards a very genuine and clear implementation? How do you engage your team? How do you make that idea work, combining and having this blend of skills of on one hand on IT, HR, other resources, and so on?
I think this very well completes our discussion, because we started first, talking about how we need to blend different aspects to come up with the right strategy, right? But then you have execution. You need to implement it. It doesn't matter if you have designed or thought over the perfect solution. It doesn't produce any effects until you have allocated resources and mobilize the teams and empower them, and they get things done. What worked for me very well, and I can imagine it's something that other people are also doing or might as well start experimenting, is to build cross-functional teams around certain problems that need to be solved. So not treating it like, okay, we need to implement this solution, or we need to do this. So not the silo type of approach, but build, cross-functional team around a certain issue. To give you an example, we are currently focused with Pluria on growth, right? Because this is what we just started, so we need to get traction. We need to grow. So in this very small team, that is the growth team generically, we have sales capabilities, we have a marketing person, we have a product marketing person that understands what the product needs to deliver in order to accommodate marketing and sales objectives, and we have the project manager and the product manager that oversees development of the platform, of the app. And very importantly, we have the business analytics person, the analytics person, the business analyst, because data is, of course, it should be at the core of everything that we do. So all those skill sets, all those different perspectives in a small team, focusing on the issue to be solved, on the problem to be solved, yields great results. And it happened in the past, and it happened. I'm hoping it will work now as well.
How do you recognize how do you take decision? How do you recognize which is the right path forward?
That's a really tough question. You saved it for last.
for you, definitely is not.
Well, I would lie if I was to say that everything is very rigorously planned, and I have thoroughly. I put my decisions in a matrix, and I weigh down criterias, and I prioritize decisions. No, obviously, a lot of it comes from the gut feeling, but this gut feeling is also educated by past experience, past issues, past problems that we've had, and things that were bad or good. And this obviously helps, but having a trust in the team at hand, doesn't matter if it's a large team or a small team, like in our case. Having a trust that their minds are even better than yours, that ignite the thing. Things start to shape up quite beautifully. It's I don't know. It's a
the
combination
decision becomes obvious. This is what you're saying.
Of data and putting like a big problem ahead of the people, and trying to get them excited about the job at hand, and then see how the magic happens. Because if people are excited and they have great capabilities, and the vision is there, and things get done.
You make it sound, you make it sound so easy. I wonder why it's just you and a couple of other successful entrepreneurs on the market. But yes, thank you for sharing that. Keeping this positive note, I would still want to make a final round of analysis and sharings. And inevitably, this is the most positive one. It has to do with the future, with perceived perspectives given the elements that have been very successful in your career. Gabriel, I'll come back to you once again to be the first speaker. I know that your organization is very proud of what has become quite well-known project on the market. How did you call it? It was RPA Hero from zero to hero.
From zero to hero, yeah.
What was so good about it? How come so many persons from the market have heard of that one?
Well, I don't know how it happened, but it was probably one of the projects that ended up with the most satisfaction for me as part of it. I've been through a lot of projects, but this is really a special one. So basically what we did was having the Center of Excellence for the RPA, Robotic Process Automation. There was a challenge from HR department for us and we decided to have a program that would offer the employees the chance to reconvert themselves, because you hear in the news, in the newspapers, on websites, wherever, that there are the robots coming and automation and AI, and there are gonna be no jobs and all that stuff. And I really think that technology is not about replacing people, it's about helping people to get better, and together with technology, whatever area of technology that is, it would help us get better. So what we did in this context was we started this program with some of my colleagues from the RPA department, and we had some workshops and some learning with our colleagues, and we offered them the chance to learn RPA from zero. And if you want to be part of this program, to be eligible for this program, you had to have no background in the IT area, right? So you would actually get somebody from, I know, front office, or I know, marketing,
HR.
or HR. Yes, we have a colleague from HR that now is part of the RPA team, and she's running pretty much all the HR processes that we're automating right now. And it was an amazing project for me. It was, first of all, the interest for it was amazing, because we were talking with our colleagues in HR to plan this, and they asked me, so how many people would you train in this project? I was thinking, I know, 10 or 20, but then I was thinking, what about if we launch the registration and we won't have 20 people registering for this? But in the end, we had more than 300 people from the bank, all over the country registering for this. And in the end, we had 20 people that went through all the program. And after 3 months, we had a hackathon with these guys, with teams made from these guys and girls. And it was an amazing weekend with projects delivered. And after that, 10 of them are now part of the RPA team. So they totally reconverted. As I said, one colleague is from HR, and she's doing a great job right now in the automation area. And there was another challenge that we did is with same people, the people that started RPA from zero in this program. We had a POC for Victoria Bank in Chisinau, and we automated, I think it was 6 or 7 projects that are automated and live in Victoria Bank right now. And they were all implemented by these people who starting the RPA journey in this program. So no IT background or whatsoever before that. And again, it was probably one of the projects that gave me the most satisfaction.
Thank you, Gabi. It really sounds fabulous. Thank you for that. Simona, Industrial Revolution 4.0, Renault leading car manufacturer, 2,000 employees within Renault Technology in Romania. What are the planned developments? Is it another RPA Academy for you guys? Or what's on your agenda from a technology perspective?
It's not an RPA academy. We already have some IT people in HR. So what Andrei said earlier, between synergy HR and IT, seems that is going viral. No, but we have indeed big plans, and definitely we will not do technology for the sake of technology, but we have technology at the heart of our transformation. And you probably saw in the media that the Renault Group at the world level is going through a huge transformation with our new CEO, Luca De Meo, whose vision is to become more customer-centric and move from being just a manufacturer to offering customer experience in everything that is mobile. So if you can do a bit of play in imagination, think about how the smartphones were some years ago, and imagine us a smartphone for being mobile and help you go from A to Z where you need, along with your beloved ones, and in which Dacia brand will be one of the major players. So That's
That's excellent for our country also. So
it is actually very exciting. It is very exciting, and all these technologies of the future are amazing. I mean, I was visiting the engineer guys just like last week, and they just introduced, for example, one VR reality possibility where you can find any potential assembling issues through VR rather than through building a prototype. You can imagine in the past how long it was to build a prototype for a car in any manufacturer. And now how you use technology in order to prevent even problems in even developing a prototype. And then quite a lot of stuff in testing, from noise to speed to safety to all kinds of things that from early stages of design, by using certain type of technology, you can spot it, or you can make it better, or you can make it more beautiful. And it is really amazing where this industry is going. And
we'll come knocking in order to make sure we are
yes,
keeping up to
yes. And the guys, as you said in the beginning, we are lucky to have Renault technology, the second as importance in Renault in Romania, which in fact means that we are doing design and testing for the world. So it is truly amazing, to go and see people working at night because they work with Japan, or they work with whatever other Korea or other countries, and they monitor certain stuff from multi-country in the same time into their real-time data feed, which is another thing. So I wish my guys were here to tell you more, but I hope I was able to. They are very cool. And not only the technology guys, but all the other people.
You can share what has been discussed today. Don't worry.
I definitely
so I'm sure
will.
they will hear. Thank you so much, Simona, for making it today. Andrei, once again, I think the reason for which you are the last one is because the question becomes even more complicated when we are speaking about an entrepreneurial environment. I'm not going to ask you about future in terms of where are you going to put your money on, what's your next business, but I'm going to ask you, what are you going to take for the next businesses in terms of assets, learnings, infrastructure ideas? What are the technological developments that you foresee as being here to stay and are of relevant future and are of tangible perspective?
Obviously, I think this is a moving target. We just need to, at the various point in time, we need to take the right decision, taking into consideration the available technology at that time, and also the associated costs. So it's a continuous learning. We are on a journey, and my answer now probably will not, if I'm to talk about specific technology or something in particular, for sure my answer now would not be applicable in a couple of years. So just as we've transitioned from using heavy home build systems to employing software as a service, just as we've transitioned from big implementation phases to working in a more agile format in smaller sprints, and just as we learned how to incorporate all the other business functions and go together in a common roadmap of development, and not just releasing the business requirements and then checking in 2 or 3 months, how is my implementation, how is the development going. So a lot of things are transitioning, and we need to be continuously learning. We need to be like kids in school if we want to be successful, and be wary of the new technologies, the new gadgets, and what's cool now and what will be cool, and efficient from business standpoint point of view in terms of what results it can bring and what are the costs and the implementation effort, of course, needed. And always, at least that's what I'm doing, always think that what I'm building now is not final. For sure I will have an update on that, and then I will iterate again, and then I will change something else because I will receive good feedback from internal or from clients, and so on. So it's a continuous journey. We just need to keep open and always adjust our infrastructure and our organization to the cutting edge of technology, and be wary of new advancements and see how those fit with our purpose and our organization.
So what I read in between the lines is that on one hand, we should not stay away from TikTok, yeah, and understand the role TikTok is still playing for all of us, and be curious. But anyway, leaving jokes aside, I heard that you pointed out quite clear the idea of data and data science in the other intervention that you had. So it's technology on one hand, but also we are staying on this huge amount of data that we should just be able to interpret and use it, be it related to people, be it related to engagement and adoption, but also to usage and so on. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for being here today with our esteemed audience. I think we've heard many valuable things from your side. I think there are a number of crucial elements that technology is not just for the sake of technology. The technology should be blended with all the business processes, and one should adopt the other, and vice versa. Meaning, we should not just run old processes on new technologies. We should make sure that we do understand benefits for all the stakeholders, and if there are none there, we should not simply invent some other fake ones, but keep on searching and put all these things on the table. Make sure that you involve different stakeholders that are able to contribute, and for sure the illuminated path, and as Andrei said, will come forward. Having said that, thank you once again for this. I look so much forward to engaging with you in some other virtual events in order to understand how your businesses are doing. Until then, the registered part of this session will be also available, not just the live one. Let me also link it to another event that will be moderated by Aurelia Costache that will take place tomorrow. Another panel that is linked with development of technology and the implications with HR and the future of work and new skills. And thank you once again to all of us watching and all of us being present in this live room. Have a good evening and thank you once again. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.